So last night, Valve decided to drop an update for Counter-Strike 2, as they do from time to time. Now, we get these updates, patch notes put out, tweets go out, whatever. Sometimes they're very, very small changes or small patches, sometimes as small as like 1 or 2 lines of text or whatever. Sometimes they're huge sweeping changes, and sometimes the community has a big positive or negative reaction to them. And this set of patch notes in particular has gotten a very big reaction. Some people are calling it one of the worst patches of all time, one of the worst changes that Valve has ever made to Counter-Strike in general, and some people are even going as far as to say that this could crash the markets or ruin CS trading or CS investing or whatever altogether. So obviously this is a very, very big deal. In this video today, we're going to be going over what this update was, what the heck is going on, what my thoughts and opinions are, and what the future has in store, or most likely what the future has in store for CS2 trading, investing, all of that good stuff. Of course, first let me plug my cash trading business. If you are looking to sell out of any of your CS2 items, maybe you think the CS markets are coming to an end, that Counter-Strike is dead, whatever, definitely hit me up over on Twitter. It's going to be the first link in the description below. I buy pretty much anything and everything. You can see here, we bought some cases, we bought some gloves, we have knives, stickers, all kinds of different stuff, capsules, anything that you guys are looking to turn into cold hard cash or crypto or any other payment method. We can definitely work something out. So hit me up over on Twitter, and of course by selling to me, you're helping support me, my channel, and my content as well, which I'd appreciate a ton. With that being said, let's get right into this. So here it is. The release notes for today are up. Again, these got put out last night, like while I was driving to work, and I just kind of saw the shitstorm ensue from there. People started freaking out all over the place. Hot takes being thrown all over the place. Some people having some good takes, some people have some bad takes, some people knowing what they're talking about, some people probably not as much so. But here's the release notes for 4/2/24. Congratulations to Navi for winning the Copenhagen Major. The Copenhagen 2024 Champions Autograph Capsules now available for purchase in the Major Hub. Again, wouldn't really recommend buying this. It's pretty boring to open. There's just 5 different signatures. You're going to get one of them. They look pretty similar, if not almost entirely similar to the Copenhagen autographs we already have out. Yeah, not that cool, not that exciting, not a great investment, not a good investment at all. Yeah, I would stay away from it. Wouldn't really buy it, even if I was just an opener or a collector or whatever. But whatever. Next up, miscellaneous. Fix several cases of sticky collisions when jumping against surfaces. Awesome. I think we saw some of that even at the Copenhagen Major. Fix another threading bug that could lead to a frame rate hitch, especially if all CPUs were busy. And then finally, here's the big kicker. Purchased and traded Counter-Strike items will not be visible to other users who view your Steam inventory for 10 days. Now, this is confusing to a lot of people and doesn't really make a lot of sense to a ton of people, myself included. I'm not saying that I totally understand what is going on or what their intentions were with this change, but obviously people are freaking out because, first of all, I think the thing that doesn't make the most sense is that it seems like this trade hold is still 7 days. So if we have a 7-day trade hold, why do we have a 10-day invisibility on Steam items to other people in your inventory? I can kind of understand what this might be for. I know that some people are saying, oh, they're trying to crack down on gambling sites and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm not really that familiar with gambling sites. I don't know the mechanics of how they work or what they need to function or what Valve could do to stop them or shut them down or how this specifically combats gambling or whatever. I don't totally understand that, but one thing that I do know is when people unbox an item from a case or even pick up a rare, expensive item from different trading sites or from whatever means they end up getting an item, they do get added by tons of scammers. They get people trying to contact them. They get people trying to steal their items, all the stuff like that. And it's a way that a lot of, especially inexperienced players and people who are a little bit naive to some of the markets and stuff, they get ripped off or they get scammed or they get stolen from a lot. And having their items become invisible for a couple days can maybe limit some of that, can maybe slow some of that down. Again, it doesn't even entirely prevent that, so I'm not even saying that this is necessarily what that's for, but it could help with some of that a little bit. But obviously people are panicking, and for good reason. And one of the main things that people are mostly worried about is how this impacts peer-to-peer trading sites, stuff like Buff163, stuff like CS Float, where you need to be able to see what items are in somebody's inventory, and you need to be able to see that a trade has happened from one person to the next so that the funds can get released on Float. If somebody buys an item from me on Float, I need to send it to them. Float needs to see that it got sent to them and got accepted and is now in that other person's inventory so they can give me my funds. So people are, starting to panic and saying, obviously, Float or Buff or whatever having issues, or even the downfall of these sites or making it harder for them would be really, really bad for the CS market. So some people were starting to predict, crash or whatever. So here are some of all the different takes and tweets and everything of what has been going on. I just tried to compile a bunch of stuff in my bookmarks. We had Max the Lost up first saying, is CS Float cooked after the new Steam update? 3 of my sticker capsules just sold. I instantly sent offer and buyer instantly accepted, yet 15 minutes later it's stuck on the seller sends trade. And he sent a screenshot of his CS Float and the buyer's inventory in the comments. Again, is saying, hey, is this going to be a big issue? Now, this was just shortly after this update came out, so we were still having all kinds of issues at this point. Now, I can say since then, I have sold multiple items on Float, and it has worked out and it has been okay. Now, the systems are different. Things are a little bit weird. The Float's system of seller accepts trade, seller sends trade, buyer accepts trade, release of funds, that isn't entirely working right now. There are a bunch of kind of kinks in the system, but so far I have had multiple successful trades in the past 24 hours. So I can confirm that it is mostly safe to sell on some sites. I can't say all sites. I've seen people are saying Buff163 is working okay. People are saying Float's working okay, but I've seen some other people saying some other sites maybe are not totally working okay. Well, let's see what happens. But CS Float, here is what they said. This bookmarks is so shit how it pops up, but whatever. Due to the recent CS2 update, Valve has changed how certain server-side functions work. At the moment, if you're a key mode seller, you're now required to cancel an active trade offer to the buyer if they do not accept it within 18 hours. You'll receive a notification once it is time to cancel the trade offer, and you'll have 8 hours to do so. We're working on long-term mitigation, so stay tuned. I love that Float is at least, communicating with people, letting them know what's going on a little bit. We have Arrow talking about the new 10-day... this is so stupid how I can't show more unless it pops it over to the side. The new 10-day trade update. Any items you purchase, trade, or scam are now hidden for the first 10 days. Now, that's another thing. People are really worried about scammers kind of being protected by this update. Again, say you did scam or steal an item from somebody or by any means, whatever, got an item from somebody, you are not going to see that item in the scammer's inventory for 10 days. And again, if that trade hold is up in 7 days and their items are not going to become public for 10 days, there's a 3 or 2 or whatever day window where the scammer can move those items, sell them off, or move them to another account and even reset that 10-day trade invisibility or that 10-day invisibility or whatever. They could really indefinitely continue to keep these items hidden or whatever, which is very, very weird. And not even just that. Obviously, they could just put them in storage units and you'd never even be able to see them or whatever. Items that are unboxed are not hidden. Scammers can still find them. You can no longer see other people's storage units. Can't tell if scammers stash an item. So this is all obviously very, very weird. People are panicking, or, at least were panicking at the time for a very good reason. People saying this is a horrible update. Imagine getting scammed and telling the community to report. People check the inventory and nothing is there. Mass reports by the community have stopped a lot of big scammers from cashing out their loot. This gives scammers a 10-day protection window. Again, I think that's all very, very fair. I can see this update as scam safety. You purchase a skin or open, people can't see your inventory for 10 days. And after 7 days, you can safely sell it on a Steam or peer-to-peer market. And those bots won't be able to see that you're trading an item that was scammed. Again, that seems to be very, very fair criticism. Jesus, taking a little bit more of a calculated approach. He says, I'm going to make a video on the update tomorrow now that Valve has actually turned it on. Again, right after the update, it wasn't even working entirely. It did take a second to kind of kick in. I don't want to rush anything out today because it's not 100% clear how skin sites, particularly peer-to-peer, are going to be affected by it. Alchemist, same stuff, saying scam an item, wait 8 days for trade lock, switch to another account, repeat. You just made the scam of the life of every scammer even easier. Now, again, there have been some weird stuff going on, especially on some of the weirder sites or the, not so popular sites. Again, I have not had any issues with Float or Buff163 or anything like that. These are, or Skinport, it sounds like is working okay as well. Do not sell your skins on peer-to-peer marketplaces. I sold a few flip Dopplers in market.csgo, but the site didn't register any of them as sold. I'm pretty sure it should be the same with any other peer-to-peer marketplace like this one, which again is not true, but that doesn't mean that every site is okay. So, hey, he's saying kind of watch out, be careful. Some people are saying, hey, what is even the goal of this update? Which a lot of people agree with. People don't know. This guy said, just going to say this, at Counter-Strike, remove API access for trading, give people marketplaces 2 weeks notice, and then reduce trade hold to 3 days. That way you get to ban gambling bots whilst making trading arguably better. I would be a huge fan of that. That'd be awesome. We do have this as well. We kind of got this update from Buff163. They put out this statement about just everything, a Buff163 announcement. They said the platform will conduct risk identification from account registration, login, transaction, recharge, withdrawal, and other aspects, and crack down on illegal activities and bad content through optimizing model strategies. Some of the stuff that they said they are going to be watching out for is illegally obtaining the user's Steam API key and login credentials, using fraudulent means to gain the trust of users in the Buff community and attempt to lure them to other third-party platforms, impersonating customer service, using fraudulent means to trick others into paying for their own Buff accounts. Here we have sell items obtained through gambling. Again, they're trying to crack down on items that were obtained through gambling, fraud, or whatever on the Buff platform. Publish advertising information in the Buff community to induce traffic to gambling websites and other violations of law and regulation. Now, is this to remain in the good graces of Valve? Is this something they're doing on their own accord? I don't know. Obviously, it does seem like overall Valve is starting to crack down, or at least attempt to crack down in the future on gambling and all that stuff. Buff trying to be proactive about all that. I think it's pretty interesting. Skinport did say that the latest CS2 update concerning trade holds and the visibility of recently traded items has no impact on their operations. Zipple, I will want to go over his statement in a second. Zuckwiz, this guy has to do with gamer pay, I'm pretty sure. He says, imagine being heavily invested in skins and relying solely on a skin business to support your family. I like taking calculated chances, but not going to lie, I could use a hug right now. I obviously don't know what Valve is up to, but from my point of view, it's not too great. So people are concerned, stuff like that. I thought this was actually pretty interesting from Nalo as well, and I think this could definitely have some truth to it. He said, my theory about the 10-day update is that Valve did it for bandwidth reasons because nothing else really makes sense. They've had some big issues with searching the market. I get errors like 5 times in a row on any search and stuff like that. It's a really nonsensical update. So yeah, if you go to the Steam market and you try and search stuff up, you get an error over and over and over again. That's kind of always been a thing, but it does seem like it's been much worse recently, and especially if they expect the game and they want the game and player base to grow into the future, getting so many calls to that stuff, trying to limit some of that by hiding items or just changing up the systems on the back end for even like peer-to-peer sites and all that stuff could maybe be a way to do that. I don't really know. Make an update that only benefits scammers. People hate the new update. People find a way to get around the new update within a week, so the update only benefits scammers, which I do think is going to happen. Again, that's where so many people were saying, this is the end of CS2 investing. This is doomsday. This is going to crash the markets, whatever. If we go look at Esport Fire in the last 5 days, the all-item graph, things have started dropping since this update came out, but we're not at prices that we didn't see, 2-3 days ago. The market has not crashed. It's still dipping, and it could still dip, but we haven't seen any catastrophic decline or dip or anything like that. And ultimately, I do think at the end of the day, this is going to get sorted out, and these sites and people are going to find workarounds. Again, maybe it makes peer-to-peer trading sites a little bit harder, which could make it better for cash traders and people like me. But again, they're always going to have those options for turning items into cash, whatever. It could affect the markets a little bit in the short term. People could panic and whatever in short term. But if things do crash, if things do drop, I'm going to be buying the dip aggressively and heavily because we've seen drops in the CS market before. We've seen panic. We've seen doomsday out there. And again, things always find a way to work out, and people always find a way to work around. Sites will adjust, people will adjust, the markets will adjust, and I don't know if this will be a short or medium or long-term headwind or whatever, but I do think ultimately at the end of the day, this is all going to get sorted out and fixed, and I don't think it's the end of CS2 skins or investing or trading or anything like that, so I definitely think that that's a little bit of an overreaction. Just tons of other kind of reaction stuff like that. I did want to go over Zipple's statement because obviously he is a co-owner of SkinVid. He's very big in the scene. He has a lot of thoughts and opinions on everything, but he said, I've spent the entire day trying to make sense of today's update without luck. It does not actually have any serious ramification for sites, which is good, and I am sure most can resolve them, albeit creating a lot of short-term issues and extra work. So again, Zipple's on the side of this being short-term chaos, but in the long term, not really mattering at all. More importantly, however, it does not solve anything either, so that's why it's weird. And yet again, manifests that business and people are invested in the game are nothing but spectators. We all know that Valve is very secretive and communication is either scarce or non-existent. Valve developers are present at events, even walking around the PGL after party, but as ghosts. No communication, no feedback, no info. And again, some people did say in the comments too, this is likely because Valve doesn't want to publicly acknowledge and engage in all of this stuff or, interacting with stuff like SkinBid or Buff or Float or whatever, because Valve for the most part tries to remain hands off and be like, oh, skins don't have real world value and blah 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 blah, so then they're not as implicated in so many of these issues, and I'm sure it would bring a ton of new laws and regulations and whatever, so I'm sure they are not communicative for a big reason. But obviously, you also have to understand at the end of the day that the skins market and big sites like this are a huge thing that keeps CS popular and propped up. Think of all the money and time and everything people have spent in the CS markets. Now, obviously, CS is a great game. I think it would be popular no matter what. But to say that skins have nothing to do with the long-term success and sustainability of CS is just absolutely ridiculous. And obviously, Valve has huge incentive to keep the CS economy going at this point, even if they don't have direct communication, a lot of stuff like this. Sites like SkinBid, GamerPay, Skinport have decided to run EU-compliant websites that combat fraud, does proper checks on their customers, and all in all as creating ways for our community members to trade with confidence, compliancy, and security. Has no communication channel, is given zero warnings of changes being done. Skinport had all their bots banned with little to no help in the aftermath. Peer-to-peer sites are now seriously halted due to unexplainable updates to endpoints that unsurprisingly solve nothing. To operate a business where you have zero control of changes, you always have to be on high alert. Have developers working around the clock fixing unexplainable changes is incredibly tough as is. Whether today's update was done to combat scams, stop API scams, stop gambling sites, etc., there would be hundreds of skilled people that could offer the guidance on how to do this effectively without halting compliant businesses and leaving the entire skins community confused. How hard is it to take a step back before pushing an update and pay some respect to a monumental part of what CS2 is today, and maybe even consider liaising with your community members, whether it be a select group of people that has proven their legitimacy to you, or at least just sometimes look at the ramification of changes being done before pushing them. It will not only benefit the scene, but your business as well. Although I don't personally believe today's changes were done as a result of the events at the PGL Major, many speculate that they are related. Even if Valve has allowed these sites to exist and only when bad stuff happens interfered with an update that has zero explanations to what it's trying to resolve, it doesn't resolve anything, and holds zero regard to many businesses and people that ultimately make CS2 what it is today. That's very worrying. So what's next for Valve? Skins and stickers are a monumental part of your business. Is it really that frightening to consult your community in the slightest or hold any regard to many legitimate businesses? Sorry for the app. I love the game. I love the pro scene. I love our colorful and quirky skins community. Let's help each other and stop letting unwelcome sites or scams interfere with this incredible thing that is CS2. So again, ultimately at the end of the day, this update, I think, is causing chaos, hysteria, panic. At the end of the day, I don't think it will really matter that much. Again, could it be helping out scammers? I don't know. Could it be hurting scammers? Hopefully. Could it be making things harder for scammers or gambling sites or whatever? Again, hopefully, I don't know. But also, could this just be the beginning of Valve over the next couple of months or years or whatever, making more and more changes to eventually hit the mark, or eventually, do whatever they're trying to do? Yeah, it's very possible. This does not mean this is the end of whatever Valve has cooking up right here. And again, in the short term, even the medium term, even the long term, stuff could get harder, more difficult, or more chaotic for some of these skin sites or just the CS skin community in general. But again, this is what we have signed up for. With your CS investments and people running these CS sites, that you ultimately at the end of the day do not have control over this stuff because this whole game, this whole ecosystem, this whole everything is controlled by Valve, and they are going to do whatever they see fit, and they're going to do it, whenever they see fit as well. And again, that is not totally unique to other investments. If you invest in stocks in the stock market, yeah, you are ultimately at the end of the day a shareholder of that company, but the company's going to do whatever it's going to do. They can make weird and inexplicable changes. They can make things that are catastrophic or self-detrimental or whatever. Now, obviously with Valve and CS, that's maybe way more, but that's a huge risk you take on for, again, potentially bigger returns, which we have seen over the past, however many years. I don't know. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not a doomer. I do not think this is the end of CS2 skins or investing or the markets. I don't think everything's going to crash or go down or whatever. And if it does, again, I'm going to be behind the dip very, very aggressively. But like Zippel says, I don't really see what this update does accomplish. And in some ways that might be a good thing because I don't see it as super detrimental, but I don't see it as super beneficial either. I just see it as kind of weird and strange, and I would definitely expect more changes coming very, very soon. I don't know. But again, if I were you, I would not be panicking. I would not be selling out. I would not be, cashing out or running or just being fearful at all. I would just be chilling and waiting and see what's going to happen next. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Hope I catch you next one. Until then, peace.